Hey guys, today I have my Malefic deck profile. Before I start, I just want to go over Malefics real quick. Malefics, almost all of them have the clause that there can only be one on the field at a time. If that's monsters on the field, it's the only one that can attack, and that they require a field spell to exist on the field. So, much like a Earthbound Immortal, I guess. So before we start, I just want to say that this deck was not meant to be Tier 1, not even really Tier 2. I'd say it's more about Tier 2.5 or Tier 3. So let's get started. If you don't have an open mind and you can't take new ideas in, don't watch this video, because there are some things that even I have problems with doing or not doing in this deck, but I feel like they're necessary evils. Trust me, I've been running the deck for the last 2 days and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I feel like I'm not saying I know everything about Malefics, but I feel like the way I'm running them is correct. So if you have any comments to tell me I'm an idiot, obviously you can put them in the comments section and I'll respond. So, 3 Malefic Cyber Ends. You can special summon it by removing a Cyber End from your extra deck. So you're removing from your extra deck and you're not really losing anything out of your normal deck. And it's a 4,000 attack beat stick. Probably the best Malefic overall in the game. It's a machine and it's dark. 4,000 attack, and with all the Malefic clauses that I just told you about. Next is Malefic Stardust. In my opinion, the second best Malefic. And it's got 2,500 attack, and it has the ability to protect your field spell from card effects. And it's a level 8, which goes good with trade-in. Next, I have 2 Malefic Truth. Malefic Truth, whenever my Malefics get destroyed, I can pay half my life points and bring this guy onto the field. And he's got 5,000 attack, 5,000 defense. So, a common play that I keep on running into is they'll have 1 or 2 back row, and I'll play one of my other Malefics, and they'll bottomless it. Well, obviously, bottomless is destroying your monster and then removing it from play, so I can then special summon a Truth. Or I'll attack into a Mirror Force, and then I'll special summon Truth and attack directly for 5,000, stuff like that. It's the boss monster. It gives you a little bit of insurance that you'll always have a little bit of presence on the field, even if your Malefics go down. So you want to get this to your hand or the graveyard as soon as possible. I'm running 2. Next, we have 3 Beast King Barbaros, and I know it looks like I actually have 2, which is true. I haven't been able to track down the third one. So Barbaros, this is a skill drain deck at the end of the day, and Barbaros is going to be a staple in almost any. The reason I'm running 3 is because I can run 3 skill drains now, and trade-in is kind of the engine I'm running. I don't know if you really call trade-in an engine, but essentially trade-in's how I'm digging through my deck, and I'm running 3 trade-ins. So I want a good amount of targets, and even if skill drain's not on the field, it's a 1900 attack vanilla monster, so it's a really good card in the deck. If skill drain's on the field, it's going to allow you to attack with Barbaros and a Malefic at the same time, which is wonderful. Next is kind of where I put my own little stamp on it. I don't see that many people, or if any, doing this yet. Ancient Gadjiltron Dragon's 8-star, so it works with trade-in, 3,000 attack, and it's machine. The deck requires field spells pretty much, or skill drain at all times. So the field spell needs to not be destroyed. So I was thinking about options of what I could run for my field spell. Well, I could run a, Necrovalley and stuff like that, but I figured Geartown was a good choice because even if they destroy my field spell and get a Malefic off the field through it, they're going to be looking at a 3,000 attack Ancient Gadjiltron Dragon square in the face. So I feel like it's a good card for the deck. Kind of deters them from destroying your stuff. I mean, there's so many field spells that are good in the deck, and that's why I side 3 different field spells in my side deck for this. But I'm running 2, and that's actually the end of the monster lineup, guys. There's only 13 monsters I'm running, and it may seem weird, but like I said, test it before you knock it. If you haven't tested this deck, I honestly don't want to hear your professional thoughts on it, because theory crafting and actually playing the deck are 2 different things. Alright, we got 3 Terraformings. Like I said, field spells are important in the deck, so we want to be able to get them at any point. So Terraforming thins the deck out and allows us to pick which field spell we want, because I'm running 2 separate ones in this deck. Next, like I said, deck relies on trade-in. So obviously I'm running 3, trade in the level 8 monster, draw 2 cards. Malefic World's our field spell. So I play it, and essentially on my next turn I can skip my draw phase and grab 3 Malefics out of my deck, shuffle them, my opponent picks one, the one that they pick gets added to my hand. So it adds a little bit of consistency to an inconsistent deck, in my opinion, and you know, it's a field spell, so what do we need? Field spells. Next, Geartown. We've already talked about it. It's just the one that goes with the Ancient Gadjiltron Dragon. I don't want them to destroy my field spell, but if they do, I want them to actually have to pay for it. So that's the point of this. 2 MSTs. Out of all the cards in the game that can mess you up with this deck, Royal Oppression's probably the most popular. Royal Oppression will absolutely shit all over you, and there's not much you can really do about it except for your MSTs. So if you draw MST, if you're using my build, if you draw MST, don't use it unless you're pitching for game, if you know it's a deck that runs Royal Oppression, because trust me, as soon as they flip that over, you're pretty much screwed. Just general back row hate, and we need something. If the deck's running Royal Oppression, we need to have them, and I don't want to just have to side into them, because 2 MST main deck is a good idea anyway. You'll see a lot of decks running 2 of these for Malefics. Pretty much, if you have 1 monster on the field, at least 1 monster, their monster count can't exceed yours. So it really screws up a lot of decks, and a lot of the Malefic decks that are running like just pure Malefics are only going to have 1, maybe 2 on the field with Paradox Dragon at the same time. So it really, synchro decks can't synchro because you require at least 2 monsters to synchro, right? So that's a very interesting tech. I'm only running 1 because my monster count can go from 2 to 3, and that which would make 2 of these kind of a dead draw. But at 1, I feel like it's a good way to control the game. You obviously don't have to summon whenever you have it on the field, but I feel like 2 would be just a little bit dead in the deck. So I'm only running 1, but a lot of decks will run 2. Next, I have 2 Megamorph. I can't find my other one. I was just looking for it. I was messing with it last night, but can't find it right now. Anyway, Megamorph, when your life points are lower than your opponent's and you equip it to one of your monsters, it's going to double its attack. So you got to think about your gain here. If you're equipping it to a Malefic Truth Dragon, you're gaining 5,000 attack on top of 5,000. So you could pretty much game someone at any point in the game with it. Especially since to get Truth out on the field, you have to pay half your life points. So your life points are going to be probably lower anyway. And then you just, like seriously, I've pulled off so many OTKs that shouldn't even be possible with this card. My friend Sefmond, if you're watching this, comment below. I'm not trying to blow smoke in your face, but let them know how good Megamorph can be in the deck. So I'm running 2 right now. And then since I am running 5 different targets for it, limiter removal for my Cyber Dragons, my Ancient Gadjiltrons. Again, it can get me game at any point. I like this one a little bit more than Megamorph, but it only works on some of my monsters because I can declare an attack, and if they don't have a response, I can then drop it afterwards, and it won't like neg me, obviously. So I can really pick and choose when I want to use it, as opposed to Megamorph, I have to equip it before I attack. So I'm running 1 because I have 5 targets, 5 high attack targets that can really gain from it. In addition, if I equip it to my Cyber Dragon, it gets destroyed at the end phase. I can then pay half my life points if I want to, and special summon a Truth for my hand or graveyard. Allure is a staple. Don't need to explain it, as is Dark Hole. Alright, next I have 3 skill drains. The cornerstone of the deck. It negates all those negative effects that your Malefics have. So now you can attack with more than 1 monster, and you don't require a field spell. So these are kind of stand-in field spells as well. Now, it does negate the effect that there can only be 1 on the field at a time. The problem is the cards in your hand are not negated. This means you cannot just swarm the field with Malefics because your field does not meet the requirement to summon a new one, because the ones in your hand still have that clause, so you can't drop it. So don't try to swarm your opponent's field with Malefics. They may be dumb and allow it, but you'll be playing the deck wrong, essentially. You pay 1,000 to activate this card, and it negates all the effects. I guess I should explain what it does. So this makes our Barbaroses come out as 3,000 attack normal summoned monsters. You can really push your game quick with it. And it screws up so many decks. Alright, next is Dark Bribe, and a lot of people are going to be going, oh, Trapstone, oh, 7 tools. Alright, here's the problem with that, guys. The enemy of this deck isn't necessarily trap cards. I mean, obviously it is just like any other deck, but I really fear a lot of the spell cards more than the traps. If you hit one of my field spells at the right time or anything like that, you're going to be really hindering my deck. So I need to protect my field spells at almost any given cost, and if I have to give you a card to do so, I'm going to do it. Same with my skill drain. I want that out there because you're going to really screw up what I'm trying to do if you get rid of it. So I have to be able to protect from MSTs. I have to be able to protect from giant Trunades and stuff like that. So I'm running two. I know a lot of people who are all high on the Trapstone train are going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe it, but believe it. Alright, next is a card I thought was really not too exciting at first, but Malefic Colosseum. If I have a 5-step Malefic, I can flip this over and destroy one card on the field. So if they're setting like a Raikou, or they have like a Treeborn Frog that just keeps on coming back and you just keep on destroying it and you can't get by it, you can just flip this over, get rid of it, and attack directly for like 4,000 or 2,500 or 5,000, depending on the monster. It kills face downs, which is really why you play it over like Smashing Grounds and stuff like that. It's a good card. I definitely recommend it in all builds, but the number differs on whatever build you're running. Next is Eradicator Epidemic Virus. I'm only running one, as I don't have the normal monster count, Malefic monster count, as a lot of decks do. I have 6 targets for it, so it's still worth running at least one. I can declare spell or traps by attributing a 2,500 or attack or higher dark monster, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 targets for it actually. So it actually makes sense to use. So I'll depending on the deck, like if I'm playing against frogs, I'll obviously declare spell cards. If I'm playing against like an anti-meta, I'll declare traps, and I get to check their field and their hand. If they have any one I declared, they have to drop it all to the graveyard. And for the next 3 turns, I check their draws, and if they draw any more, it goes to the graveyard. It can really mess up your opponent. I'm siding into another one, as well as 2 deck Devastation Virus, which kind of works the same way, but your monster only has to be 2,000 or higher and dark, and it gets rid of all the 1,500 or less monsters. So obviously not every deck is going to be running those, so I'm not going to main deck Devi, but it is. I would side into 2 against certain matchups. But a really good card that can get you game early, and a lot of people are not expecting it, obviously. Last card, Solemn Judgment. Don't really need to say much about Solemn Judgment. Negate shit. Alright. The extra deck, I do have 3 of these guys in here, because I have gears on the side, in case I go up against like a synchro happy deck, and you know I can actually get one of their synchros, Malefic Paradox. But he's more in there just for show. And then just for my Malefics that I need to remove, 3 Stardust and 3 Cyber Ends. The side deck, it can really vary. Mine has 2 Zombie Worlds, 2 Magical Citadels of Endymions. I'm sorry, that was kind of a mouthful. That's what she said. Anyway, I also have 2 Necrovalleys, 2 Deck Devis, 1 Eradicator Epidemic, and from there you can kind of like pick and choose. But I really like the fact I can add field spells into my side deck, because some of them are really powerful. So like Necrovalley against certain matchups, and Zombie World against Frog Monarchs, and it's just actually a really good luxury to have. So if you guys have any questions on the deck, like I said, this deck is not an orthodox build. It doesn't run a lot of monsters. As of right now, I'm not even running a Monster Reborn. I did add in some the Barbaroses recently, so that would be a good target for my Monster Reborn. Again, and the reason I wasn't running it before is because Malefics are high attack monsters that none of them can really be special summoned from the graveyard. So then at that point, I'm really relying on what my opponent has in the graveyard. And I feel like that makes it a little bit too situational, because if they have Jank, that's kind of dead in my hand because I can't special summon my own. But I could special summon the Barbaroses, so it may find its way back in. But as of right now, this is my build, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and if you want to net deck it, go for it.